The murder on Sorella Prime. Sorella Prime was a neutral world, a sanctuary for diplomats from across the galaxy. Its crystalline towers and peace accord chambers had long served as the foundation of interstellar negotiations. Among the delegates stood Ambassador Elliot Vance, the highest-ranking human diplomat ever assigned to Galactic Empire territory. Calm, measured, and respected, he had spent his career defusing wars before they began. That day was supposed to be routine. Elliot had arrived to finalize trade rights for newly colonized human systems. His speeches were prepared, his tone soft and conciliatory. But in the shadowed halls of the Imperial Palace, something stirred, a hatred buried beneath treaties and false smiles. The Imperial High Command had grown weary of humanity's influence. Humans, though newcomers to galactic politics, had risen fast. Too fast. Some in the Empire whispered that the Terrans were arrogant, dangerous even. To maintain their dominance, a message had to be sent. So, as Elliot Vance waited outside the Emperor's chamber, sipping tea brewed by palace attendants, a shadow stepped from the corridor. Clad in elite red armor, the executioner bore no insignia. With a single, silent motion, he plunged a kinetic blade through Elliot's heart. The ambassador fell without a word, his blood spreading across the marbled floor. There were witnesses, servants, guards, even a minor noble, but all turned away, their silence bought by the Emperor's decree. A cover story was fabricated, heart failure. But when the body was returned to Earth, forensic scans told the truth. Humanity did not weep. It remembered. Within hours, EarthGov recalled every diplomat from Imperial space. All communications with the Empire were severed. Fleet Command was placed on full alert. And for the first time in over a century, the unified Terran Council declared absolute war. Humanity had hoped to rise with peace. Now it would rise with fire. Humanity's fury ignites the stars. Within 24 hours of the declaration, Earth's orbit became a flurry of motion. Battlecruisers lifted from their docks, swarms of drones deployed, and war fleets that had remained dormant for decades were awakened. Humanity was no longer in a diplomatic posture. It was in a war stance forged by centuries of survival and innovation. Admiral Soraya Khan, commander of the First Fleet, stood aboard the dreadnought Aegis Eternal. She stared at the holographic map before her. Glowing red points marked Imperial worlds near the border. Her face was stone. "We gave peace. They gave us blood," she said coldly. "Now, we return it tenfold." The first strike came not from orbit, but from data. Terran hackers infiltrated the Empire's quantum communication relays, shutting down their long-range systems in minutes. Civilian panic followed. Imperial sectors went dark. Entire fleets were left unable to coordinate. It was the first blow, and it was silent. Then came the fire. On the edge of Empire territory, the planet Varellus burned. It had hosted an Imperial military outpost just 3 light-years from the Terran border. Without warning, the Aegis Eternal and 2 accompanying carriers warped in, launching kinetic rods from high orbit. No nukes, no bioweapons, just raw, old-school physics, iron, tungsten, and velocity. The surface cracked, cities shattered, and bases melted into slag. Across the galaxy, the Empire watched in disbelief. The humans were not launching a conventional campaign. They were annihilating strategic targets with surgical rage. No demands, no negotiations, only vengeance. Inside the Imperial High Chamber, panic replaced arrogance. "We thought them weak," growled General Urza. "They're nothing like the diplomats they sent." The Emperor clenched his jaw. They were peaceful because they had to be. Now, they choose war. Meanwhile, on Earth, a broadcast went live. A young Terran officer stood before the world. Elliot Vance's daughter, Commander Isla Vance. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steel. "My father believed in unity," she said. They silenced him. "Now we speak in the only language tyrants understand." The Empire had struck first. But now, it was humanity's turn, the battle for the Void Corridor. The Void Corridor was more than a stretch of space. It was the lifeline between the Empire's core systems and its industrial frontier. a narrow passage surrounded by collapsing nebulae and gravitational rifts. It was considered nearly impossible to control, but humanity had studied it for years. Admiral Sarai Khan knew its every drift and anomaly. As the Imperial 7th Fleet approached the corridor, hoping to push back Terran aggression, they found themselves walking into a trap centuries in the making. Sensors began failing. Communications grew patchy. Navigation systems spun wild. And then, without a warning ping, the Terran ambush was sprung. Out of the black void, cloaked Terran warships appeared like phantoms. The Aegis Eternal led the charge, unleashing magneto-cannons that sliced through Imperial cruisers with devastating accuracy. Swarms of autonomous drone fighters darted between battleships, weaving through defense grids like dancers of death. Inside the Imperial flagship Valiant Honor, chaos reigned. Admiral Turin barked orders that no one could follow. His tactical displays glitched. His weapons went silent. "They control the corridor," he shouted. "We walked right into it." Within 23 minutes, 3/4 of the Imperial fleet was destroyed or disabled. Those who tried to escape found Terran mines waiting. Those who surrendered were spared, but marked and scanned. Humanity didn't waste vengeance on the defeated. It saved it for the powerful. On Earth, the unified Terran Council broadcast the footage galaxy-wide, not as a threat, as a warning. The Empire spilled innocent blood. We will not stop until the last hand stained by it is burned clean. The message rang loud in every corner of the galaxy. And for the first time in thousands of cycles, Imperial allies hesitated. Some withdrew support. Others opened secret talks with human envoys. The Empire had started to crack. Yet amid the destruction, something unexpected happened. A young Imperial officer named Kalen Voss defected. He surrendered his cruiser and requested asylum, bringing with him encrypted records, logs proving the Emperor himself had ordered Elliot Vance's assassination. The motive? Fear. Fear that humanity's rise would make the Empire obsolete. Commander Isla Vance received the data personally. She didn't flinch. "Then we're not just at war," she said. "We're executing justice." The war had begun with blood. Now it would be fueled by truth. The fall of the Emperor. The Empire's core world, Valkyris Prime, had never been touched by war. Its golden cities floated among the clouds, defended by orbital rings and planetary shields thought to be impenetrable. But those defenses were designed for conventional enemies, not for humanity driven by fury, strategy, and vengeance. Admiral Sarai Khan, alongside Commander Isla Vance, led the final assault. The Terran fleets, now united with several defected alien factions who had grown tired of the Empire's tyranny, approached Valkyris not as an invasion, but as judgment. The attack began with precision. Terran stealth ships disabled the outer communication satellites. Then came the pulse, an experimental electromagnetic blast that shut down the capital's planetary shield for 73 seconds. It was all the time humanity needed. Drop pods pierced the atmosphere like falling stars, delivering elite strike teams straight into the Imperial throne complex. At the forefront was Isla Vance, armed not just with weapons, but with her father's memory. Inside the throne hall, the Emperor waited. Clad in black gold armor, he stood at the top of the obsidian stairs, flanked by royal guards. He did not plead. He did not show fear. "You come for revenge," he said bitterly. "No," Isla replied coldly, stepping forward. "I come for justice." The Emperor charged with ancient fury, but he was no match for the daughter of Elliot Vance. With swift precision, Isla disarmed him, forced him to his knees, and activated a live galactic broadcast. "This is not a conquest," she declared. "This is closure. The Empire ends today, not by force, but by the truth of its crimes." The Emperor's confession, extracted from Kalen Voss files, played across every world. The galaxy watched in silence as the truth unfolded. How fear and jealousy had led to a coward's murder and sparked a war that brought down a 1,000-year reign. Valkyris surrendered within hours. Across the stars, Imperial outposts raised white flags. Former allies recognized Terran leadership. Humanity, once underestimated, now stood as a galactic superpower, not through domination, but through unbroken resolve. At Elliot Vance's memorial site, Isla stood alone. No soldiers, no cameras, just silence and a single plaque. He chose peace. They chose war. We chose justice. And with that, the war was over. The stars would remember.